Hello everyone, my name is Anjali, and today I'm going to talk about the definition of integration of faith and values in learning. Not only that, we will also learn about the importance of integrating faith and values in our educational system. What is integration of faith and values in learning, or IFVL? According to Dockery, integration of faith, values, and learning is a feature employed by Christian institutions in the learning to an understanding of the faith and to the development of Christian worldview. Harris defines the integration of faith, values, and learning as a focus of many religious institutions of higher education. The broad concept encompasses the idea that the Christian worldview, faith, and practices of the students should be deeply connected with the learning experience. Every time we learn something, we engage in the process of integrating knowledge. For integration is the process of connecting knowledge with knowledge, connecting facts, ideas, and other information together in a way that unifies them. Every time we encounter a new claim about knowledge, we work on integrating it into our overall knowledge. The two essential requirements for successful integration are consistency and coherence. You probably recognize these as two skills involved in any critical thinking activity. The new knowledge must be consistent with what we already know. There must not be a conflict between the claims. Contradictory ideas cannot both be true in the same way. One's entire set of knowledge must fit together into a unified whole. Our overall view of reality must make sense as a more or less harmonious, interrelated set of ideas. Our view of reality comes not only from facts we learn, but through observation, experience, reason, interpretation, and even basic assumptions about the world, ourselves, and others. Types of integration. Our efforts to bring harmony and consistency to our whole stock of knowledge include several activities. Connecting knowledge with knowledge. Here, a new knowledge claim is brought into play with currently held knowledge to see how everything fits. The new claim may be accepted, rejected, adjusted, or put on the shelf until later when sense can be made of it. That is, when it can be successfully integrated. And sometimes, current knowledge must be adjusted in light of the new. Connecting knowledge from one area with knowledge in another area. Discoveries or theories from one area of learning can influence our thinking in another area. The findings about brain chemistry, for example, may influence theories in psychology about human behavior and motivation. New discoveries in history may change the way political scientists view the actions of past governments. Connecting knowledge with one's larger beliefs about the world. In the process of finding coherence, we bring to bear our beliefs about how rational the world is, what is possible to exist, what human nature is like, and so forth. Connecting knowledge with one's basic presuppositions and values. Sorting out how one's basic beliefs fit in with one's personal experience is the integrative process of finding meaning in life. When you ask not, "What is it?" or "What happened?" but "What does it all mean?" then you're working out this integrative issue. When we look for consistency and coherence in our knowledge, we do so within a biblical framework. Christian faith is both a type of knowledge and a worldview. The assumptions behind the integration of faith and learning are the following. All truth is God's truth. Christian knowledge should not be considered a separate realm of truth or reality, but as a vital and clarifying part of it. Christian knowledge must be part of the whole integrative database. There is no conflict between God's truth and other truth. Conflicts arise when true meets false, or more commonly, when there are incompatible interpretations, presuppositions, preferences, and worldviews. The most common work in the faith and learning area is that of integrating apparently conflicting interpretations rather than apparently conflicting facts. Secular learning is incomplete and often distorted. The worldview of philosophical naturalism that limits all reality to the material world is inadequate to explain all of existence because of its truncated coverage. The incoherent and self-refuting worldview of postmodernism is defeated by its basis in relativism and its abandonment of transcendent meanings. Only the Christian worldview supplies a complete, objective, and rational explanation for all of existence. Christian integration is based on a biblical framework of reality. This framework functions as an objective measure of all knowledge claims, a touchstone against which all claims to truth are tested. Biblical authority is the starting point. The clear implication here is the crucial importance of good hermeneutics, the skillful and accurate interpretation of the biblical text. Lastly, truth is the most important goal of learning. The goal of integrating faith in learning is the maintenance of a coherent, unified system of understanding, a full knowledge and harmony of all truth. Truth must take precedence over politics, ideology, and wishful thinking. The two prominent worldviews promoted in universities today are scientific naturalism and postmodernism. Knowledge claims coming from these two ways of looking at reality provide a challenge to the process of integration because both worldviews include basic assumptions in conflict with Christianity. Scientific naturalism limits the realm of the knowable to what can be observed or learned from physical experiment. In other words, any non-material explanations, such as a divine creator, are ruled out arbitrarily. Postmodernism rejects the idea of absolute truth and instead teaches a relativism of knowledge and values. It also rejects the supernatural. Thus, both scientific naturalism and postmodernism are anti-supernatural. The integration of faith in learning is such an important topic largely because too little of it seems to occur. The bias in the academy and in the larger culture against Christian truth and biblical authority has had the effect of disconnecting Christian knowledge from other knowledge, even in the minds of some Christians. For that reason, integration must be undertaken with deliberateness. Christians must be intentional about making the connections between their faith and the knowledge claims they encounter and careful to keep the biblical framework in the foreground as a structuring principle of truth. Let's talk about the implications of an integrated mind. As scholars, we recognize that many fact claims are actually interpretations imposed on filtered information, and that reigning paradigms are as much the products of philosophical structures as they are of objective truth or purely empirical evidence. We also understand that many textbooks and journals contain claims which come from a perspective that includes various metaphysical assumptions, philosophical interpretations in conflict with Christian truth. With integration, the student can recognize that certain aspects of secular learning are processed through such knowledge filters and interpretive spins, and that new information must often pass metaphysical litmus tests before being granted truth status. With integration, the believer can more readily endure times of spiritual dryness that might threaten the emotion-based Christian. The Christian supported by thought and knowledge will be less prone to wander. What happens without integration? If students do not learn to integrate faith and learning during their undergraduate years, then it may not occur. In graduate school and professional life, students may adopt the current paradigms of the field without realizing that those paradigms include a set of metaphysical assumptions, often naturalistic and humanistic, that conflict with Christian truth, not because there is a conflict between faith and fact, but because there is a conflict of worldviews, producing a conflict of interpretations and assumptions. Without integration, students will risk compartmentalizing their faith, putting it in a box separate from the intellectual and working life. Without integration, students will tend to exhibit a passive acceptance of current cultural values, lacking an active engagement in response to them, unable to separate entertainment values from moral and artistic values. Integration is a process that must take place every day because we are presented with new claims, new facts, new interpretations day by day. This integration, this faithful intellect, will guide and guard our students not just while at school, but throughout their journey through the postmodern sea, where they will face a lifelong barrage of demands for belief, indulgence, and consumption. Our role as educators is to give them the tools they can hone and use both now and in the future. Thank you for watching. I hope you've learned a lot about IFVL in this presentation. If you have any questions, you can find me at angelibaloyo@gmail.com.